Humans of the cardboard. It is Friday. We are what I assume is summing up a pretty insane week of Yu-Gi-Oh! News. In fact, one of the craziest weeks of news in terms of like just sheer volume, all condensed into basically 4 days, is out of this world. Maybe 5. Well, 4. Nothing yesterday. It's insane. Basically, from Sunday through Wednesday this week, we got so much news. Maybe the most news I've ever seen since I've been doing Yu-Gi-Oh! New card reveal coverage in the last 4 years. So here we go. Today's going to be kind of like a quick overview of everything we got this week. If you didn't have time to tune in for every single video, this will give you a brief overview, basically, of everything that dropped throughout the earlier part of this week. So let's start off with the biggest stuff, and then we'll work our way down to kind of the smaller stuff, but even the smaller stuff is, pretty crazy. So stay tuned. All right, first thing, new archetypes. We got 3 brand new archetypes revealed in 4 days. It's insane. First one, Aamina. This is a new archetype for the Sinful Spoils Bellstar lore. It seems really strong. Basically, it's a fusion archetype that uses Sinful Spoils, spells, and traps as fusion material rather than actually using monsters. But the cool thing there is they do have a really crazy continuous spell that is Sinful Spoils in its name, so it's searchable off of Bellstar, Wanted, that stuff. And because it's a continuous, it is basically the full material for your fusions. So you just search out, if you play 1 copy of the fusion, 3 copies of this card, and then the Bellstar Wanted package, or even the Snake Eyes package can get you there too, obviously. You can summon out these cards. The biggest, craziest one is the first one, because this one is just a straight up Omni negate on field. So on first summon or second summon, if you summon Bellstar or Ash into Poplar, theoretically, it could be at worst third summon. You could just be summoning an Omni negate. So it makes a handful of decks have access to just a straight up killer anti-nib package. But specifically, if Snake Eyes is still around by then, makes them significantly better, because that's the only other engine that actually gets you into the Sinful Spoils stuff. But still really solid. Cool start. It doesn't feel like it's its own deck just yet. It feels like more of an engine, but with 1 or 2 more, core sets and a couple more cards, they could definitely build this into their full-on own archetype. But we'll see. Next up, we have Ryzeol. This is the first deck build pack archetype for... Oh, by the way, I didn't even mention this. This is for Rage of the Abyss. Obviously, we've been going through Rage of the Abyss for core set stuff. Ryzeol is the first brand new deck build pack archetype from Crossover Breakers. Really exciting to see. Really a lot of potential, to be honest. I really think the potential is huge here. I've seen a lot of people down talk this archetype in terms of how linear it is, but also do you guys not remember MathMech? I made a post saying how good do you think Ryzeol is out the gate? And so many people were like, yeah, but its problem is so linear. I was like, you remember how linear MathMech was? But it literally just didn't matter because the circular was so crazy. When you saw circular, you were just in a good position. So I think it has a little bit of that. The cards are just good enough, potentially. They definitely have some weaknesses. They're not a perfect archetype. But I think you have 3 separate 1-card starters just in Engine. That doesn't even include Bonfire or 7th Tachyon if you choose to play those cards as consistency cards. But yeah, as a rank 4 spam engine, it does lock you into rank 4s only for the turn, so they can't really dip too far away from that main strategy. But both Exceed monsters, really crazy. 3 or 4 of the main deck monsters, really crazy. The lacking part maybe is the spell and trap. The spell is just kind of like an okay extender recovery card, and the trap is also okay. It is a normal hold trap, so you can make Trap Tricks Rafflesia and activate this with that. So that's kind of nice because you might already be playing Rafflesia, but still, that card's okay because it at least makes the deck a little bit less terrible versus board breakers. At least if they hit you with a board breaker, you could have 1 or 2 pops and the ability to quick rank 4 on the opponent's turn. All at the same time, even through a Dark Ruler No More or whatever. But still, a lot of potential. Also, we're still waiting on one more spell, most likely, from them, before even in this wave, so it can only get better. Really, a lot of potential on that one. Whether you think it's linear or not, the cards are strong. That's what it comes down to. Sprite, super linear. Cards are strong. All right, next up, we move to the final of the new archetypes, completely new archetypes, and that one is Ghoul. This is the new TCG exclusive archetype dropping in a week, like literally 7 days. Very cool archetype, very cool design. It's giving me a little bit of like Ghost Trick vibes, and then it's a little gimmicky because it's like flip based. It's based around like giving your opponent some of their monsters face down and basically forcing your opponent to flip them up, and when they do, either you get a bonus effect or it hurts your opponent. It's one of those two things. And so there definitely is some interesting potential here. It's fun. It's honestly not the strongest first wave we've gotten in the last couple of years for a TCG exclusive, but maybe that's more reason to believe that they'll actually give us a good second wave for the first time in what feels like years. Feels like the second waves for a lot of these TCG exclusive archetypes recently have been really lackluster, so maybe the second wave will be good. It's fun. It's more casual right now, but with a really strong second wave, it could actually be something interesting to look at. But very, very unique, very cool art style. I love the art style on it because they could have gone definitely way darker and grittier, but I love that it's more cartoony. So yeah, looks really cool. All right. That is it for the new archetypes. Now we get to some of the really crazy legacy support. We got the first 4 cards for the Blue Eyes structure deck revealed like 2 days ago. Really, really solid start here. You get a new Synchro that's easy to tag into off of their level 9, I believe, which is pretty cool. He's a negate on field. You get Maiden of White, maybe the single best card they get out of the support here, because this card gets you so much setup just on its own, because it places True Light, the trap, into your spell and trap zone face up. So you can just use it turn 1, which is really nice. Helps with a lot of speed issues in the deck, potentially. They get a really good search card. This is probably the other big engine card that's like really crazy. And then they get like another engine card that like sort of e-tellies, but also can potentially be a fusion spell for you. It's fine. This one's interesting. I'm not exactly sure, but I'm also not a Blue Eyes connoisseur, so I don't know exactly how all these cards intermingle. I just have like a general idea. But pretty solid. They're going to get 4 more cards probably in the next like month and a half revealed before the structure deck actually comes out in the OCG. There's a lot of room for growth, and this is a solid start to boot, so really good position for Blue Eyes. Next up, Goblin Bikers. They get 3 new cards. They get a really cool new main deck monster. Technically a main deck boss monster, sort of, because he's like the level 6. He's the leader or whatever, or this is like all of them together. The only awkward thing for me with this card is it's level 6. You have an entire level 3 archetype that's based around making rank 3s early and often, and then you get kind of an awkward level 6 guy. Now, his effects are amazing, right? On summon, he's summoning a Goblin Biker from deck. And then when he's sent to the graveyard, he like quick effect equips any card on the field to, you know, a Goblin Biker Exceed monster. So he is really solid because he's like removal, potentially interruption, as well as like a tour guide-esque monster. But if he was just level 3, it would have made him as a body so much more flexible in the deck. So he's not bad. He still helps the deck. It's just it irks me that he could have been way more flexible, but it's okay. They also get like a pseudo E-Telly card. You have to tribute a monster to do it, but you do just tribute a monster to summon a goblin from deck. I don't know, maybe like the new guy who went on summon summons another one. So this card basically says tribute a monster to put 2 Goblin Bikers on the field, and then you know, go from there. Pretty decent card. I think the main thing with this card more than anything is this allows you to dodge a lot of stuff. Going first or going second, this card just allows you to dodge interaction, which is pretty nice, all things considered. But also can be an extender too in certain scenarios. And then you have the trap. This card's fine. I don't think this card's like out of this world. But they have 2 other so-so traps, so I don't know which one is the best one. I don't know if it's worth playing any altogether, but if you do, you play one probably and forsake the other 2. That's why it's just kind of weird that they've given us 3 Goblin Biker traps, and we're still just like, I don't know, we only need 1, and they're all fine. They're all in the same like power like range. Whatever. We get 1 new Sinful Spoils trap. It's like an interesting interruption card. It's not a terrible card. It just requires you to have Dia Bellstar on the field, and we just like never want to leave Dia Bellstar on the field. So it's just a little bit clunky. If we get a full-on archetype that like actually wants Diabellstar on the field at some point, like how they did, I mean, I guess it's not entirely the same, but the Fallen of Albaz structure deck, if they actually do a structure deck like based around Diabellstar and she gets her own theme where she's like on the field way more often, then a card like this becomes a lot more interesting. But for now, it's just kind of like it can go to the wayside. So that's it for legacy support. Now we actually get to some like more generic options, some more generic cards that have been revealed this week. We have Maxi 2.0. We joked that Mulcharmy Perulia was Maxi 2.0, but that's actually Maxi 3.0 because this one is significantly better than the other one. It's basically the same thing as Perulia, whereas instead of Perulia saying draw a card every time your opponent summons from hand, you draw a card every time your opponent summons from deck or extra deck. And so basically, 90 to 95% of competitive decks go into the extra deck quite a bit to do anything. This card is drawing you quite a few cards, making it not as good as Maxi because you can't main deck it for the most part. But as far as what it does when you do draw it in the situations it's live, it is pretty comparable. So this card will probably be a side deck staple going forward. So keep your eye on that. Couple of really terrifying cards that I'm really not sure why Konami thought it was okay to make them. Aerial Eater and Necroquip Princess. These are two new TCG exclusive fusions that basically just support Fiend decks. So the Fiendsmith engine can just make this, and there's no other reason for people to make this card in anything other than like Yubel. But Yubel may already be the second best deck in the game, so I don't know why they made both of these. This one even easier to make. In like Snake Eye and I think Yubel can make both, can make this one. I just don't get it. It made the two scariest decks in the game even scarier just because. It is what it is though. Hopefully we get, at the end of August in a month and a half, we'll have a ban list that hopefully puts at least Snake Eye in check. We'll see what happens with Yubel, but yeah, really scary. And then we got a couple generic cards. These cards were, these cards are fine. You get one little Link 2 that supports zombies a little bit. You get a new, like, Cyburst extender. It's nothing crazy. You get a new... This is, to me, was the most interesting one. This is, like, a quick play that, like, targets a monster you control and a card your opponent controls, destroy them at the same time. For decks that actually don't mind being destroyed, like Unchained, this could be, like, actually a pretty flexible, like, utility card. That's, like, going first and going second has utility. Actually could be kind of interesting there. And then we get a fusion. It's like technically like a super poly target because it takes any two light machines, so it's like somewhat generic. But yeah, unless like Cyber Dragon gets a super easy way to make this, no problem. But I don't believe their fusions do make this quite as easily. This one's still a little bit like, where is its home? Where is it going to end up? But still, interesting card. And then finally, we finish off with, like, not necessarily new card news, but we also got the announcement from Konami officially that they will not, even though technically timeline-wise we should be getting a ban list by the end of this month, they're saying they're going to push it back a month because they want to see how Infinite Forbidden actually ends up impacting the metagame, seeing how it shifts rather than trying to estimate and do a ban list early and then turn around and look 2 weeks later, we have Infinite Forbidden, and it looks like some of the hits didn't really like do what they were meant to because of like some of what Infinite Forbidden brings. I actually think this is a healthier result, all things considered, because I feel like doing a ban list this month, like waiting a month, is more worth it to me than rather than like having them shotgun it right now, maybe not hit something as hard as they should have, and then stuff like running rampant going forward. Like, I think if we get a ban list in a month from now, I think there's a higher chance stuff like Beatrice actually ends up getting banned, whereas like they may have given it an extra run, an extra 3 months if they didn't wait. So I think it's just stuff like that, and they'll get a better look at the landscape. I understand though, because there's a lot of players who are interested in playing in nationals and stuff like that, and they don't necessarily love the format for playing nationals, so that's why they're bummed. I'm not playing in nationals, so I'm not. I guess that's part of why I kind of think this is the better outcome. But yeah, that is what it is. And the other thing too is they also announced that like they're also putting speed duels on pause, which probably means it's probably just the end of speed duels. They probably just aren't lucrative enough for them. They don't make them enough money, so they may just end up cutting the ties with speed duels and moving on. Not too surprising, to be honest. They also didn't push them that hard overall. They could have done a lot more stuff for them. But yeah, that's basically everything. I mean, that's so much stuff. This all was in a span of like 4 days. I think some of my favorite stuff that I'm most excited for is definitely Rizzail. I know it's linear, guys, but MathMech was linear, and I still liked that engine a lot. So, yeah, Rizzail, definitely into that. Goblin Bikers, I think their support is good enough to take a second look at them. This card's terrifying. I'm not even sure if I'm excited about it or not. Yeah, those are the biggest things, though. But obviously there are huge things here that also will appeal to a lot of other people, like Aamina and Blue Eyes and stuff, and the new Maxi-ish hand trap. There's a lot going on here. So, yeah, really, really crazy time in Yu-Gi-Oh! We still have 30-plus cards in Rage of the Abyss to go, and that set's literally coming out in like 2 weeks in the OCG, so I still expect there to be a decent amount of news next week. There may even be news over the weekend. I am gone for the weekend, but if there is something really, really important, I will make a reaction video to it, and we'll go from there. But I'm out of here for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, as always. Let me know your thoughts down below on this crazy news week. What was your most excited thing that you got to see get revealed this week? What are you hoping for next week? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. But I'm out of here for today. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.